Now, a letter from the chairman, an actual communique, if you will, from the fearless leader. It has been so long. And personally, I'd love to see a video from him. Am I the only one that feels that way? Personally, I would love to just see a video of Chris sitting down talking like the old 10 for the chair. That was fun shit, but I'll take a letter. I'll take a letter. Thanks, Chris, for the letter. How about something a little bit more than the letter? Just saying. But okay, let's see. Year in review. All right. Don't drive angry. Phil Connors, Bill Murray from Groundhog. He's taken a good example from a good movie. In some ways, last year felt like we were stuck just like Bill Murray and Groundhog Day, repeating the same cycle as 2020. I think a lot of us have felt that way. Just when we thought we were seeing light at the end of the tunnel with COVID-19 pandemic, new variants emerged to send splash, 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 splash. Be scared, watch out. The world grew increasingly weary and fatigued from the toll of both the pandemic and necessary measures, blah, blah, blah. Scared, watch out. And even as a large part of the world is starting to return to normal, the specter of a new potential variant, blah, 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 Pfizer, shots, watch out, we're all going to die. Okay? That haunts us. Hopefully, with readily available vaccines in most countries, blah, 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 blah. Yes. Okay. It's a scary world. I get it. Thank you, Chris, for reminding me of the shithole real life that I'm in. That's why I play Star Citizen, to escape it. But thanks, Chris. Because of the ups and downs of last year, we are only just starting to get back to the office. The first studio where it became possible to start working together in person at any scale was our UK studio in Manchester, where I have been spending a lot of time since last fall. I have been working with Squadron 42 team side by side in the office as we focus on finishing and polishing the content and features of what will be an epic narrative adventure. Very much looking forward to Squadron 42, which I'm not a single solo player type of dude, but I'm actually looking forward to because I remember Wing Commander and remember how replayable it was. And I hope Squadron 42 gives us the same, and I think that it will. Our offices in Frankfurt, Austin, Los Angeles, and many others are only just starting to return to the office now that the local authorities have deemed it safe enough to lift various requirements. Sounds like it's time to put those bands back on. At the very beginning of the pandemic, we are proud of how we transitioned seamlessly. More blah, 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 camaraderie. We feel great. Thanks for being back. Here you go. Here's your old desk. There you are. Have a good time. Sit at your desk. The time I've spent with Squadron Team in the UK has only reinforced this, as the ability to walk over to someone's desk and see the issue or see my employee that I own and tell him everything to do and tell him what pixels to change colors on. The man is now back in his seat that I can tell to change the color of the pixel. Okay. When everyone, what is that? Am I not reading it right, Pepe? Am I making people angry when I read it this way? I'm just going off the cuff here. I'm just talking without a filter as I usually do, Pepe. That's the show. When everyone is working remotely, it becomes more of a slog to problem solve on the fly or easily get or give feedback. And you end up with far more meetings, video calls. In our internal tracking, we found that we had 6 times as many meetings when everyone was working from home than we were in the office because it's more efficient. Hey, technology, people. Technology. It also cuts down on companies' expenses. It really does. Try it sometime. I personally felt the difference in our release cadence, though. It took us a little longer to get each patch out than before, and it became harder to solve or fix the bugs, which hung around longer than previously. I have also seen the trend in the industry as a whole, with pretty much any large title being delayed. Well, they need that hands-on. They need that hands-on kind of touching thing going on there, and they better watch out because they're going to get a lawsuit. For this reason, despite our ability to work fully remote, we are focused on getting people back together, working with each other side by side for extended periods, groping and touching each other in such a fashion that work gets done much faster. Oh, that's not in there either? Sorry. Going back to the office does not mean a return to the old work and policies, as the extended lockdowns combined with working remotely for 2 years has given us new insight into work-life balance for our staff. We have altered our global work policy to allow for flexi hours, which is a fancy way of saying flexible hours. We're going to call it flexi hours, and a hybrid of in-person and work from home, depending on both employers, blah, blah, blah. Corporate speak, corporate speak, corporate speak. Let's skip it. Despite the challenges, what's up, Fatality? Thank you for that subscription. I needed a little break. Yeah. I need a little break from the reading. Gotta watch out, man. My brain's gonna explode. All this reading. My big old meathead can't handle reading. Because you gotta judge a book by its cover, don't you? Big, fat, bald guy can't be intellectual or have anything important to say. Assholes. No, just teasing. Despite the Despite the challenges of last year, I'm proud of how much we accomplished in 2021. They did. A very understated year, by the way. A lot of people don't give them enough credit. In 2021, they got shit tons done. In fact, looking back at the year in review, I am amazed at the amount of content. Thank you. Thank you, Mod81. Wow. 5 subs. Thank you. Break the monotony of the letter. Thank you.
Next time, it's gonna be glass.
I need to get into some of Taekwondo, way of the fists. I need to work it out. You know what I mean? I'm amazed at the amount of content features we delivered to our players. In January of last year, the community was able to first iteration of Xenothreat Incursion, our first dynamic event that players praised for bringing together a piece of Star Citizen for a thrilling server-wide encounter. While our first iteration, this event already showed us blah, 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 the bangle, the javelin. Yes, wonderful, great. Yes, we know all about that. And, you know, it's commendable that they're actually making content in an alpha state. And I love that. However, we really started to hit our stride in the second half of 2021 with the release of 3.14. Welcome to Orison. Love it. Love Orison. When we finished the Stanton system by launching the Gas Giant Crusader, and we're also looking very much forward to Pyro, by the way, and the landing zone of Orison, accompanying that were a host of quality of life improvements, volumetric clouds, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yes. Then with Alpha 3.15, Deadly Consequences introduced medical gameplay. Huge. Looting. Yes, bombing. Personal inventory system with the building blocks, amazing. Just to name a few new features, yes, like I said, 2021 hit out of the park. So many new game mechanics that were added, so understated. Not enough content creators commend them for the amount of work that was done in 2021. They just don't. You don't hear it. You don't hear it a lot. You don't hear the gratitude or the thanks from the content creators that have been along in this journey that are actually like, hey, thank you, Cloud Imperium. Thank you, employees. You guys rocked it in 2021. You don't really ever hear that. I feel that way. Coupled with a continuing improvement in performance and stability and the drastic reduction in server crashes, which has happened. 30Ks don't happen nearly as much as they used to. They really don't. Usually manifests themselves to a user as the infamous 30K or connection, blah, blah, blah. Star Citizen, the game was finally starting to come together in a way it never had done before. And as great as our 2020 year is in terms of engagement and sentiment, the back half of 2021 was at another level. We saw more players than ever flocking to Star Citizen. That's true. The numbers show it. Carried in on waves of goodwill and excitement from current players asking their friends to join, and from complete newcomers awed by the spectacle of Crusader, the gameplay of Xenothreat, and the opportunities of, yes, okay, Chris, yes. And cap off the year, we launched Alpha 3.16, return to Jumptown. Veteran players return to see our fresh new take on the new Jumptown. We're a small world. After all, we're in teacups and we're going around, and it's not as player-driven as it used to be, but I respect the fact that they're trying to do something with Jumptown, even though I actually like the old Jumptown better than the new Jumptown. You know, we won't get into that thing, but okay, all right. Our wins in 2021 set us up for an absolutely historic start to 2022. So far, we have blown past all our projections on new players joining the verse, obviously because larger YouTubers that the algorithm prefers is actually showing content of them playing Star Citizen, so it's picking up the gears, and that's a marketing driver for the game. In fact, this year we have more than doubled our rate of new user acquisition, and with the recent launch of 3.17 fueling fortunes, we are seeing over 2,000 new players a day joining the verse. Again, thanks to larger big YouTubers that the algorithm prefers over smaller ones like myself, not Jelly. Our DAO, daily active user, has grown by over 50% since the numbers I shared in my last letter from the chairman in December 2020. It has been way too long since your last letter, Chris. More letters, please, and an appearance. And with this latest patch, we are enjoying double the daily login traffic of our last April patch launch. We are enjoying monthly active users, which is well beyond the highs of 2020. And we have had nearly 1 million new accounts created since then. Watch out, that server load. Whoa, server meshing, let's do something. And more than 500,000 new pledging players join the game. Watch out for all that extra fresh money, that extra fresh cheddar. And this week, we had our 2 millionth unique player log in to play Star Citizen. We are on track this year to break 4 million total accounts, over 1 million unique logins this year, and more than 500 million in lifetime revenue. Man, that's the way Chris has got to be feeling right there. Chris has got to be feeling that, man. Killed it in 2021, man. Just like, wow. All of this is due to the incredible support we receive from you, combined with the progress we have been making in the Star Citizen, which brings new curious gamers into the verse. It's hard to see the feedback impressions from newer members of the community when they first start playing Star Citizen. It's broken that fourth wall now. Star Citizen has now broken that fourth wall and is becoming more mainstream than ever. And that's why you're going to see 2022 be another gangbuster year. 2022 is going to crush 2021, I think, in terms of the amount of revenue and players playing the game. It's just going to be ridiculous, the amounts of more people, more money that are going to come to the game. It's literally going to be ridiculous. Literally going to be ridiculous. First, all of those that have been around from the start, is easy to take for granted a lot of the features that Star Citizen has that no other game does. After all, we all know every feature, its bugs, and more importantly, what is not done, so it can be easy to focus on the cup half empty rather than full. But what other games has a combination of scale and detail, the ability to seamlessly go from on foot to onboard a fully realized ship with functioning components and a livable interior you can move around, take off towards a twinkling pinprick of light in the sky, up through clouds, best them in an intense... Boy, he's getting verbose like that. He's getting a little verbose here. Blah, 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 blah. All the wonderful, great features that we already know and love. Sometimes it isn't a bad thing to look back and appreciate just how far we have come. We got a lot of flack for timelines and schedules, especially when the other original crowdfunding campaign is brought up. But the game that is being built today is completely different and far more expansive and immersive game than I pitched almost 10 years ago. Back then, there were no fully realized planets rendered with incredible detail that you could go anywhere on. Planets were only visitable if they had a crafted landing location. He's absolutely right. There's always a cutscene for those. And even then, there was a debate whether they could be explorable in first person, or if they could be more like the landing zones in Freelancer and Privateer, where you could click, which, by the way, Privateer was an awesome game as well. I loved Freelancer, but Privateer was the shit as well. But I know what he's saying. You know, it wasn't really fully realized. You couldn't walk around on these planets. But again, we're talking about the 90s and early 2000s, you know. There was no concept of a first-person system that is as tactile and fully formed as we are making today, nor a vehicle simulation that had physical components and level system functionality that we are striving for. The game being built today is a game that encompasses many. It is a dogfighting space sim, it is a first-person shooter, it is a trading game, a resource collecting game, a resource management game, an adventure game, a survival game, and a social game. Boom, 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 boom. Extreme VAG. And by the way, VAG means value-added gameplay, which is actually the things we've been talking about for years here on the channel. And it is something they have been clicking on all cylinders with. Really have been doing a great job. Star Citizen is a universe sim. It is a game for everyone. As in real life, Kill Devil got me there. I lost my place. I saw Kill Devil's comment, and I'm like, okay, stop it. The kid in me like had a little laugh. Star Citizen is a universe sim. It is a game for everyone. As in real life, there are many different paths to walk, and success is defined by what makes you happy. Do you want to prove your abilities as a fearsome combat pilot? The game has that for you. But equally, if you just want to quality mine minerals and make your fortune, or hang out in landing zones, or find a corner of the galaxy no one else has found, all these options are in the sandbox that Star Citizen is. To do this right at the scale that will allow millions of people to play together takes time and money. And with your support and patience, we are able to build a game that I do not think any other publisher could afford to do or would be crazy enough to commit to. He's right. Many that have financially supported Star Citizen do not care about profits or quarterly earnings. They just want the best and biggest game possible, one that lives up to their expectations and dreams, While that is no small task, it is something that is far easier for myself and everyone at SIG to put all our efforts into, as it is a privilege to be challenged artistically and supported financially in this matter, and I'm immensely grateful to have so many people put so much faith in all of us. Thank you. Okay, that was a great letter. That was a great letter. But it was very verbose. It was very verbose. And here's the other thing. We talked about this in a prior highlight that's probably going to be pulled from YouTube because YouTube's banning me on many different videos for free speech. But I'm going to put this out there anyway. And maybe YouTube will pull this in like the other 18, 19 videos that it's currently on a warpath of pulling videos from my channel. But who knows? Maybe this will be 20. But what I would like to say is this. When will Star Citizen come out? I seem to hear this question come out a lot. And the answer is when people get tired of spending money for it. When you start to see revenue decline, right? That's when you're going to start to see the gears switch. This is a basic economic demand and supply and demand issue here, right? Right now, demand is through the roof for a game in which you can experience just about every game mechanic that you can imagine. That's what he's talking about in this letter, right? He knows he has the best experience in town. He's selling you the best experience in town, right? So when will this game come out? Probably when you start to see revenue decline. When you start to see revenue decline, you're starting to see people switch gears and they're saying, okay, let's see the game, right? Has revenue declined yet? I don't think so. It's through the roof. 2021 was like the best year they ever had. 2022 is going to be better than 2021. I'm calling it right now. With all the new YouTubers of the space, getting this out there, it's going to be probably at least 20, 30% more revenue than they made last year. So scroll down, read the rest of it. I read the entire letter. What am I scrolling down? Sorry, I know it exists. Sorry, guys. What's going on? You guys tired of hearing me talk? You guys are like, enough. I'm sorry, fam. Fam, like, listen to me, senpai. Listen to me, senpai. What am I reading? What did I miss? Can somebody tell me concisely and quick so we can put it in this highlight, or do I have to switch out and go back to the morning show? I didn't miss anything. Thank you, professional. All right. Keep scrolling down everything. Yeah. I read the entire letter. Wait. Oh God. Oh my God. There's more. Oh my God. What a shocker. What? Oh no. What just happened to oh my God. There's more reading. Oh God. Oh my God. Oh.
Take a big step back and literally fuck your own face.
Thank you, Pepe. That was deserved. That was deserved, Pepe. That was very much deserved. Wow, there's more. Oh my God. Oh my God. Horror. I don't have. All right. Do you guys? You really? Okay. All right. This is the meat and potatoes. This is like that White Lights video. We just watched this video where this guy was so fucking verbose. Okay, let's get to it. All right. Fucking A. I didn't know this was an SAT here. Road to 4.0. Back in December 27, Star Citizen Alpha 3.0 was published to the live servers after a unified push from our developers around the globe. Fucking somebody give me some water, please. This monumental patch introduced our brand new procedural planetary technology and the first planetary bodies you could land on and go anywhere across the surface of the 3 moons of Crusader. It also included a new mission system, improved shopping, new cargo mechanics, and doubled our server player cap. To date, Star Citizen 3.0 was probably the biggest incremental jump in gameplay and content, which is why we incremented the alpha designation from 2.x to 3.x, which is 1 more than the additional X that I wanted to give it, and 2 less than the number that it is currently. You do the math. And it was a whole 8 months between 2.6.3 and 3.0 divided by pi times the square root. This year, we found ourselves on a similar path with 3 huge technology initiatives that will fundamentally change the experience and immersion into Star Citizen. The first of these is what we are calling... Whoa, wait, what? Wait, what? What's going on here? The first of these is what we are calling persistent entity streaming, which is the foundational tech that enables server meshing. Oh, shit. PES is the hardest part of the work needed for SM and is the one that has required the most engineering. I told you this shit. This is what I said when Benoit Bessager was on the case, and I said they had to reinvent it. Am I like... Who else is calling it like this? Who else is calling it like this? No one! Yet the YouTube algorithm hates me, squashes me down, and everybody else can take the credit as they listen to what the fuck I'm saying. But that's okay. That's fine, Pepe. PS is the hardest part of the work needed for SM and is the one that has required the most engineering. It fundamentally changes how we record state in the universe and delivers a level of persistence that you just don't see in any other games. Whether they are MMOs or single-player experiences, up until now, all persistence in the game has been tied to a player's inventory, ships you own, or items you hold physically, or in the virtual inventories or items that you own. Correct. If you physically attach an item inside your vehicle, rifle, weapons rack, when you log or stow a vehicle, it will remember all attached items, anything in there. However, if you drop or place something loosely, even inside a ship you own, it won't be associated with any player. So when you log out, server crashes, item won't be there. We know it. Yes, with PES, we are recording the state of every dynamic object in the game, irrelevant whether it is owned or held by a player. That means that you could drop a gun or a med pen in a forested area on Microtech, blah, 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 blah. Several days later, it's still there, right? Awesome.
Extreme Batch.
So this is the things that we talked about a year and a half ago when we were testing persistence and Erad and I were having a shooting contest. Remember that? Who was there? And we wanted to test persistence and we were like, yeah, they're nowhere close to it. Remember that? And we had a shooting contest on Microtech and we put up some cans and we shot them. And it was glitchy as fuck, and we were just testing it out. We were just having a good time because they initially put in, you know, the statements that persistence was here, you know, but it was not. So this is great. That gets me very excited. Like, this gets me very, very excited. I'm going to have to download this later. The technology to do this at scale for a universe as large and detailed as ours for millions of players is no small feat of engineering. We have been working towards this since 2019. We debuted server-side object container streaming, which allows a server to only stream and simulate only a portion of a universe, which is necessary if you're going to have multiple servers simulate different parts of the universe. The development has not been without road bumps. That's an understatement. We had to change our plans for how we would persist. Right. At CitizenCon, they said this, and I said, well, they didn't really say it, but I said it, and I said they're going to have to reinvent it. Remember that? I don't know if you guys remember, but if you're around back then, I was literally saying they're going to have to reinvent it. And it sounds like that's what they're doing here. We had to collectively dub iCache would likely not be able to have low latency at the scale we needed for the number of concurrent players we will need to support in the future. We pivoted to using a graph database at the start of 2021, taking a different approach to the services and cache, which we outlined in a virtual presentation during last year's CitizenCon. Boom. Right? Yes, that was an absolute... Right. Yes, Starlet. Absolutely. Absolutely agree. And the good news is, though, that they switched gears and they scrapped working on a failed model, right? Because the worst thing a game developer can do is continue forward with a flawed beginning, right? I mean, let's like, yes, they wasted a monumental amount of time and resources. Yes, they are liable. Let's hold them accountable for that. Starlet is absolutely right, right? But you could be like David Brabin in Frontier Development and continue forward on a flawed system. Boom, Ash. Boom. And that's my point. As a game developer, it is so important to be nimble and to change gears, even if you don't believe you should. And Chris is very old school. And Chris generally will stay on a path even though it's not the best path to be on. So seeing this, to me, feels like a positive thing. It feels like a positive thing. How don't you agree with that? What are you not agreeing with, Explodo? Explodo loves to disagree with me. What are you actually disagreeing with me on? Oh, I didn't say, don't put words in my mouth. I didn't say trial and error was a waste. I'm just saying that if we look back and we see the amount of money and resources they spent on this, right? If you're looking at it as an accountant, it was a waste of money, all right? But perhaps they had to go through those steps in order to get to the point that we're at right now, Explodo. Is that a better way to sum it up for you? Yeah. And Starlet is also right. This is not new computer science. This isn't like this just all right. They just needed to get a professional. Right. So Starlet, right. So, right. I hope that we like, this is great. This is why I love having you guys here, right? So we discuss these things rationally like adults, right? All right, where was I at? The ultimately is the final authority on the state of all dynamic objects in our universe. The replication layer, which is a separate service, and in its final form will have multiple worker nodes based on player concurrency, allows us to track and communicate the state of the universe in real time, and separates the simulation from state. This is especially important for scalability. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Clients do not need to wait for a server to simulate to see state change around them, as both clients and servers communicate their results to the replication layer. Now, we saw that. We saw that in those, remember they had those little squares in the replication layers that they labeled DGs, and we were laughing. We were laughing that, of course, it would say DG. Remember that? That was really funny during CitizenCon. It's then reflected to all clients. Because the replication layer service does not need to simulate, it can communicate state change to clients at a fixed frequency and is not bound to a simulation time, which should lead to better experience for players. For PS to work, both the entity graph and replication layer need to be functional. In terms of engineering, this was the biggest technical challenge and required a fundamental reworking of how the game handles authority and state change of entities. Oh, Exploder saying, I don't agree with you saying I like to disagree. Most valuable viewer comment of the day goes to Captain Explodo. Congratulations. You've won yourself my gratitude for you being awesome. Where am I at here? For PS to both work, the entity graph and replication layer to need to be functional. In terms of engineering, this was the biggest technical challenge, a fundamental reworking of how the game handles authority and state changes of entities. In addition, a whole host of new online services were needed to support the replication layer and the entity graph. To support PS, we needed to create 12 new services. For server meshing, only 4 more services are currently planned, so you can see just how much foundational tech for SM is in PS. That's a lot. As part of this, we switched to gRPC, which is an open source, scalable, Google-sponsored data protocol for online communication. It is, Brock. That's interesting that they're using Google for the communication portions of it. The nice aspect of using tech like this is that it's designed to scale. Is this in conjunction with AWS? Are they using Google services like this in conjunction with AWS? It sounds like they might be. I mean, they're two different aspects, but yeah, I think that they are. And there are lots of available third-party tools and code compared to creating an internal custom protocol. I think they did kill Devil. I think that's what I'm reading here. For those people not in the know, AWS is Amazon Web Services. It's a third-party kind of protocol you buy to help with cloud hosting and shit of that nature. AWS is huge. The amount of business that Amazon has gotten through the web hosting services is ridiculous. Brock says he thinks it's an open standard supported by Google. So yeah, it's probably not tied to any other service. gRPC is a trivial detail that should not be in this letter, says Starlet. God, Starlet is so fucking intelligent. I'm telling you. Starlet's like, she's like picking up on all the little details, man. I love it. Paul Reindell. Wait. All this means that getting persistent entity streaming to work would require the bulk of the tech we need to make server meshing viable. I'm happy to report after 16 months of extremely focused work by 18 engineers and 3 dedicated QA and 4 producers spread between SIG and Turbulent, which, by the way, I think Turbulent's pretty much taken over everything now. They're managing the back-end database in the cloud and its related services. That the team were able to demonstrate persistent entity streaming working last week in our weekly internal persistent universe update meeting. Oh, holy God in heaven. Holy shit. Paul Reindell, our director of engineering. Holy shit. That's crazy. Paul Reindell, our director of engineering for online tech. Is this for real? Paul Reindell, our director of engineering for online tech, spun up a server populated with AnyGraph to its initial state along the replication layer, which is essentially an in-memory cache for the universe state backend database that exists in the cloud to make sure read and writes to the database do not bottleneck servers and clients. Then connected a client, placed down a series of small objects like cans on the service of Aberdeen, along with an 890 jump and an anvil arrow. He then clicked the server and the client. The server was restarted. He did not populate the entity graph as it had been previously seeded on the initial startup, and then connected a client, warped to Aberdeen, and everything was there as he placed it. Wow. This was a huge milestone as the state of the universe was recorded to the back-end database. And then when he restarted the server, it just connected to the replication layer, which had initialized itself from the database. Wow. And continued with the universe at the state he left it. That is... Yes. Thank you. I need to tame my excitement. I need to tame my no-no spot. My no-no spot is engaged, by the way, and I need to tame that. That's what Starlet's saying. Starlet's like, hey, DG, tone it down a little bit. Don't get excited. Just happened. We need this to happen multiple times, right? We need a nice sample size. We need nice sample size, eh? Yeah. And then we need to make sure that the data reflects that this will happen consistently, right? Yes. But my no-no spot's still very excited. Wow. Like, I'm sorry. Woo. That feels good, though. That feels good. What if this is like that cold fusion thing? You remember when remember when like, what was that in the 90s when they were all like, yeah, we invented fusion. We did it. What? No, we're back to fission again. Like, what if it's like one of those moments? It'd be very, very interesting. That may not sound revolutionary to some of you. No, it actually sounds really good. But I can tell you it was akin to Neil Armstrong taking one small step. One persistent entity streaming comes online, Star System will be a different universe. Full persistence will provide over the coming years an experience in gaming that most other online games do not provide. A universe you can escape to that is affected by you or another player's actions, with the state being dynamic and persistent. Wow. The problem comes at scale. When just hacked together software that worked previously. Yes, Starlet, yes. I love having you on right now while I'm reading this because you're being super rational, right? So Starlet says the problem comes at scale when just hacked together software that worked previously will no longer work. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, there's gonna be a long period of time here where this is an initial stage that has never happened before, though. So, like, I got a little hopium here. I got a little hopium, as they say in the DeFi world. I got a little hopium. I'm going moon boy here a little bit because I'm getting this information, right? But we got to make sure the utility that the utility of this pans out. So yeah, I got some serious hopium reading this right now. So it's nice to hear that it actually happened, right? But Starlet is right. Yeah, I mean, it's better than no hopium. Right. Like, at least we got, here's the thing. They pivoted. They had to rethink it. They had to go at the problem a different way. They did. And look, here's our result. Here's our result from it. I think, is that the biggest piece of news? Because that is huge right there. With this tech in place, server meshing becomes possible as a replicate. We all knew that. As a replication layer, entity graph is universe state that clients and servers write and read from. Because we have decoupled state from simulation, this allows us to have many server nodes all communicating with replication layer. This is exactly how they were laying it out at CitizenCon. This allows us to have many server nodes all communicating with the replication layer, responsible for simulation of focused areas in the universe, which allows us to scale our ability to simulate the overall universe, as a server is no longer responsible for every non-player entity, regardless of location or number, which lifts the player cap. In layman's terms, that means to me that there's no more player cap. That's the test, right? That will need tested. Like, shouldn't we now increase the amount that we can put on players on a server? Isn't now the time in the PTU as we go forward to start increasing player count? Okay, thank you, Starlet. Starlet says it only lifts a player cap if the replication layer can handle it. And that's what I'm saying. So I think that's how we should start to test it. We should start to increase player cap on PTUs, on new PTUs. And each container can handle this number of players. Right. God, it's good having you here, Starlet. I like this. This means that instead of server dropping to 5 times per second due to simulation load, we can just spin up another and then another to spread the simulation load and keep the update tick rate high. This is the ultimate goal of dynamic server meshing and what we are working towards. Now, a fundamental change to how state is recorded, especially one that affects every dynamic object, not just a select few, is going to have a lot of edge cases and issues we have not come across yet or foreseen. So in layman's term, he's saying we have to test the shit out of this and see where we're going to bust this, because we're at the beginning of the road. We don't know where this road goes. We're going to travel this road and we're going to see if there's a pitfall. And if there's a pitfall, hopefully it's a pitfall that we can navigate around or go over and, continue on forward and then solve this issue called dynamic server meshing, right? Yeah. Yep. 2022 testing and release cadence. Because of this, we are going to be approaching 3.18 differently than our previous releases. We are anticipating that 3.18 will require much longer time. Yes, makes sense because of what we're adding. Due to the fundamental change in how the game tracks state, we know we also need testing at scale. As in our experience, we see different issues when we go from internal testing to Evocati to PTU 1 and 2 and so on. Players do crazy things, and lots of players create lots of crazy cases we had not considered. Yeah, Tony. Yeah. Our guess is that it may be as long as 3 months in the PTU stage, but it's hard to predict. For instance, will the universe turn into a nightmare version of Wall-E because everyone just throws empty boxes on the grounds, which is going to happen, or dumps 10 AI bodies they have looted in the new Babbage cons? We are working on what we call a density manager to manage the objects that get recorded and clean up the lower priority ones. For instance, discarded empty bottles or cans when too many are in one area. But I suspect we also have to implement AI janitors and perhaps even crime stats for littering in landing zones like New Babbage or ArcCorp. Yeah, I would imagine that might not be as difficult a job. I think that you could probably insert in the code that certain things need to have a time duration. Like persistence forever? No. Right? Persistence to a year? Maybe not. Persistence to 6 months out? Maybe. Persistence to 3 months out? Yeah. Right? So, in the code, I'm sure that there will be something inserted that is, in fact, a anti-persistence string of code. Like, that's how I would work it. That's the easiest way to clean up the shit without even having to worry about it. It's like, all right, write in the code, there is a time dilation. There is a point at which you can't have this on any longer, right? Yeah, there has to be some decay code. Thank you. Orson said it in a much more intelligent way. Right. I like having AI work around the populated areas, right? Like that would be fun to actually have like graphical interfaces with NPC characters, right? Right, Brock? Like that would be cool. Like around the populated areas where you have your hangars and your landing zones and your living areas, you could have NPC go around and just kind of like sweep up all the excess, man. That would be kind of fun to watch. I would like that. Also, I don't think that would be that difficult. And then on the actual interface involving the object container that is the planet or the moon, right? That's where you'd insert the code, that decay code. That would exempt all of the player populated landing zones. Right? I don't know. I think the scope, I think the difference is the scope, Lou. I think the difference is like the actual universe that we're in is much bigger and there's much more space than your average game that's currently out, Lou. I think that's the answer to that. I mean, that's the easy answer, right? What did Star say? Space whales can scoop up orbiting trash. Oh, shit. Oh, what if there was an alien that ate trash? That is such a really great idea, Starlet. That is really, really cool. You need to run that by Jared, man. That is a wonderful idea. All right. Should I keep going? Do you guys want more of this, or are we almost at the end? Like, wow. Okay, I'll keep going. Time is it? I do have to leave in a little bit, but yeah, I'll keep going. Let's see. As it did not make much sense to engineer the revamped physical cargo system and salvage for the old system, these two features have been engineered for PS. You want Rex from player battles to stick around so you can salvage. Yes. We talked about that. We said that in the Inside Star Citizen review a couple weeks ago, where we said we wanted more from player-driven events in terms of like atmospheric flights where you would have wreckage and ships that would come down, and then therefore you could salvage these wrecks, right? We wanted those wrecks to stay. Like, it was cool that they were like designing wrecks for us to explore and stuff, but we wanted them to happen naturally. So that's great. That is wonderful. Let's see. However, we do not want engagement and content to stall because of PS requiring longer testing. So we are planning to release a content-rich Alpha 3.17.2 patch with known stable code, new missions, new locations, and other gameplay in late June. The vast majority of players, hundreds of thousands of them, in fact, are here to simply play on live. And for them, we want to keep giving them engaging new gameplay, blah, blah, blah. The goal will then to get 2 to 3 months of testing on 3.18 and P2 for an Alpha 3.18 release to live in late Q3, which I think they'll probably be pushing towards CitizenCon. I know many of you have been waiting for salvage, physicalized cargo, and persistent entities streaming for a long time, and I'm excited to see us in the home stretch to finally bring it to you. This is what you're talking about in the VIP chat last night, weren't you, Starlet? Now I understand. I think 3.18 will be an amazing update that is an even bigger game changer than 3.15 was, but we want to make sure we give it to the proper time to test so we can deliver it to you at the best quality possible. Alongside persistent streaming work, the engine and graphic teams have been making a great progress on the second big technical initiative, which we've been working on the past 2 years, a complete replacement of our graphics engine with what we call Gen 12, which is multi-threaded and much more efficient approach to rendering, which gets the most out of modern graphics APIs like Vulkan. We talked about that a few weeks ago. This allows us to utilize the modern graphics power of PCs more efficiently and not tie up the main game update loop with waiting around for draw call submissions and the like. And we went through examples that showed that threading was better and that the submission time and the amount that it took for the recall and the drawing was shorter. We don't think it's related to FPS increases. At least that's what we've come to in this community, the conclusion that we don't think it is affecting frames per second. We're not sure about that. We are looking at getting the bulk of this functionality in the live release of 3.18, with the release of the Vulkan functionality a little later, but hopefully by the end of the year. This leaves us with our third large technical initiative, server meshing. As you might have guessed, we will approach server meshing in much the same way that we are rolling out persistent entity streaming. Star Citizen Alpha 4.0 will be a truly new era in Star Citizen. Yes. It will mean our final tech building block server meshing will have been delivered. The first implementation will be what we call static server meshing, where each server is given a defined area to simulate. But as soon as SSM is stable, we will move towards dynamic server meshing with subsequent releases, which will allow much more scalability, as servers will not be bound by location, but instead will be distributed by load, allowing for much better simulation performance in any given area of the universe. Right. With 4.0, we will get our second star system, Pyro, and we begin the process of adding more and more content. That's going to be huge. When Pyro comes into play, it's going to be so huge. For all of us at SIG, server meshing and 4.0 represent taking the next big leap. It has been the biggest hurdle ever to the development and the progression of this project. To populating the verse with the promise of content and gameplay that will turn Star Citizen into a rich, living universe that exceeds the promise we set before us those many years ago. You know, if they actually nail this down and we don't have any pitfalls which are too huge, which shows us, you know, we have to change course, then if they do, you know, we go down this path and we find that in fact we have essentially we have dynamic server meshing, you know how that's a game changer. That's going to be absolutely huge. Our current goal is to introduce server meshing in 4.0 as early technical preview to Evocati testers. That makes sense. And PTU at the end of Q4. Let's see if that pans out. Allowing our most ardent players to help us start testing server meshing so we can refine and polish it for release. But this is heavily conditioned on how easy the persistent entity streaming rollout goes, right? So be warned, this has a high chance of slipping into Q1 next year. They're already letting us know. I think their new architecture will work. I don't like 100%, but it will work, says Starlit. Brock says, even static server meshing is a game changer. Yeah. Lou says, the video Whitelight had that DG was watching pointed out that if SC takes too long, they'll be outdated before they even release, and thus no one will be interested. I don't know, man. Like, I'm playing Star Citizen, and it does not look outdated to me, man. It feels like fresh. It feels crisp and clean, man. There's nothing about Star Citizen that when I'm in Star Citizen, I'm like, holy shit, this is fucking fantastic. I mean, the graphical fidelity. I'm gonna use Chris's word. It's ridiculous. You know, it's ridiculous. Yes, Starlet. God forbid we use those words here while we're talking Star Citizen, because you're going to get a whole bunch of angry people with pitchforks and torches. But yes, I see decentralized gaming as a huge threat to this space, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, like, I prefer decentralized versus centralized in looking at game development. I do. But I talked about that earlier this morning when I talked about how YouTube was banning all my videos because YouTube is centralized. Because YouTube is a centralized platform. And I would prefer, if I was on a platform that did just what it is that we're doing right now, that was decentralized, I would much more prefer it. I'd have much more ability to not have to worry about restrictions on what I say, you know. Anyway, the special 2022 release cadence will not be particularly unusual to most players. If you pull back and look at it in a broad sense, we will still have 4 big end of quarter releases, as well as 2 big mid-quarter releases for Fleet Week in May and IE in November. Players who are not steeped in our development process will still enjoy and experience rapid content release every quarter, as we get into the second half of 2022, you will see a lot more meaningful gameplay making its way into the verse, with another run of Xenothreat updates to Jumptown, new dynamic events, additional locations and points of interest to explore, and more patches, and more patch updates, which will be no shortage of gameplay and content to experience. And by year's end, players will be able to enjoy persistent streaming, Salvage, Cargo Refactor, and Bounty Hunter version 2 gameplay on live. Brock says engine choice is overrated, especially for a game like SC where you have to customize 80% anyway. Meanwhile, those who are following our development closest and providing the critical service of helping us test our biggest tech will be able to get their hands on persistent streaming and server meshing this year, as we put them into test in 3.18 and 4.0 MP2 during the summer and winter respectively. Sometimes the wait can be the hardest when we are closest to the finish line, but this year I'm so excited to share our release plans for our key tech building blocks. And I know many of you cannot wait to jump into PTU and start testing later this year. You know, this is huge if this pans out in favor of Cloud Imperium and Chris Roberts. This is pretty huge in terms of like game development and the direction that developers are going to go, other developers, other companies that are in game design. This is pretty huge in that respect. This is like they're kind of pioneering the way forward to have these experiences where we can have these unlimited, persistent, no cap, no player cap. You know, there's so much here on this platter that from this letter, like, wow, this letter is like, my mind is, I need some time to digest. It's like crazy. So we've got some pictures here. What do we got pictures of? Yeah, Orison. Oh, there's the Manchester area. Wow. Wow, man. They're getting big time, aren't they? Look at them. Look at them. Wow. They're going big time. They're going big time. They're going professional mode. Is that in game right there? That's cool. That's awesome. They put like a Cloud Imperium area in. Oh, wow, man. Are you fucking kidding me? Wow. They're going to make it look like the goddamn game. That's fucking badass, man. Dude, oh my God. If I was an employee there, are you fucking kidding me? We just went over a Board Gamer video where you're talking about the employees, and the employees were like really positive. They were really happy. They were really happy. All right. Well, listen, guys. I think that I've read quite a bit. Like, I think we got the gist of what the letter is here. Plus, I need some water. Pepe, I definitely need some water. Let's get back to the show.